The next category, which is so important. That's okay. Don't worry.
Donald Trump, during a rally in Richmond yesterday, drowned out briefly by hecklers chanting, "Dump Trump." But Donald went on to stay on message despite the interruption, acknowledging the importance of First Amendment rights. But things got ugly when event goers clashed with those protesters. For more, let's bring in our political panel. Joining us via Skype from New York City, the columnist for the Fiscal Times, Liz Peek, and from Newsmax New York, co-host of the Daily Wrap right here on Newsmax TV, Rick Ungar. Now, folks, before we get to that story from Richmond, a report out late this afternoon saying that during an RNC conference call, Donald Trump threatened to drop out of the upcoming CNBC debate October 28th if his demands are not met. Liz, would this be costly for Trump?
It'd be more costly for CNBC, whose ratings for the thing will go completely to zero. Let's face it, he brings in an audience, and I think the whole debate crowd would be sorry if he weren't there just because of the audience that they have a chance to reach. But Ben Carson actually added his vote also to Trump's complaint, and he too is threatening to pull out. It has to do with the length of the debate. I think everyone's sort of sore that it is promised to go more than 2 hours, 2 hours and 16 minutes, I think exactly, because of commercials. And they're looking at the Democrat debate, which was shorter, and sort of saying, gosh, that was easy. But if you have 10, 15 people on the stage, whatever it turns out to be, you sort of need more time to give everybody a bite of the apple, right? So I think it has to be a little bit longer, but I really do understand it's pretty hard on the candidates to be on that stage for such an extended period of time.
So Liz, Rick, says the Donald's got a point, and also CNBC doesn't want to lose him in the ratings. Your take on it?
I think she's absolutely right. It actually goes a little bit further. In addition to the time length, there's also concern because CNBC is saying they want to do away with opening and closing statements. That's bothering Trump, that's bothering Carson, and it's bothering other candidates.
Well, heck, it bothered me.
It's a messy situation.
Yeah, you got to be able to make your case. Just get 30 seconds.
I sympathize with the candidates completely.
Good. Sympathy for conservatives, as opposed to the Rolling Stones in sympathy for the devil. Now, the devil in the details, we heard the
Is there
heckling.
A difference?
Well, we hope so. There was some heckling in Richmond, and despite that, for Trump, some good polling news. There's a new rating out from Rutgers. And look at this, the Donald with 32% in the Garden State, next closest Ben Carson at 13%, tied with Marco Rubio for second place. Look, how about it, Rick? Looks like Trump ain't fading.
No, he's certainly not fading. I've been looking at various state polls, and he's doing exceedingly well. As for what happened yesterday, look, heckling is as American as apple pie. Where it crosses the line into confrontations, that's not okay with anybody. Now, listen, here's the reality, JD. If Jeb Bush were sitting right now with the leads that Donald Trump has, we'd all be saying it's all over. It's done. Wrap it up. It's only because it's Donald Trump that everybody keeps waiting for another shoe to drop and to see him fade. He may just not fade.
And this is very interesting, the change we've seen in the perception of Donald Trump. And I appreciate you growing as a person, Rick. Now, something else.
It doesn't mean I like him any better.
No, I understand. You're just acknowledging it. Just acknowledging it. Understood. Now, during that rally yesterday, Liz, Trump took aim at the Democrat debate and self-described socialist Bernie Sanders. Let's listen to this, then give your reaction.
Because this maniac that was standing on her right is giving everything away, so she's following. But you know what? I call him a socialist/communist, okay? Because that's what he is.
Well, heck, Bernie himself calls himself a socialist. So is that a big deal, Liz?
A communist.
I don't think labels matter very much. But honestly, I think that really someone needs to ask Bernie Sanders pretty tough questions about how you're going to fund all these things he's trying to do, how it is that he is embracing policies very similar, for example, to those of Francois Hollande in France that have led France to utter stagnation, unemployment of 10.3%. My question to Bernie Sanders would be, this platform you embrace, this socialist platform, where in the world has it ever worked? And I really can't understand how Anderson Cooper did not go that way.
Now,
but to
we heard.
Trump's,
Well, that's
go ahead.
This is the problem.
Go ahead.
This is the problem.
No,
I actually have some similar concerns to Liz. I don't know how he's going to pay for these things either. Where this all breaks down is when Trump goes out there and calls him a communist. No, he's not a communist. And he's not even a socialist, because to be a socialist, you have to be in support of the government owning all the means of production. That's not what Bernie Sanders is saying. Donald Trump's way over the top, and Liz, I have to disagree with you. He does not identify purely as a socialist. He identifies as a democratic socialist. In truth, just to keep it factually accurate, there are some countries out there that have had good luck with that. I would agree with you, there is not a socialist, a purely socialist country in the world that has much to show for it. I'm on the same page. But when he raised Denmark, I don't know that that was a very good debate idea, but Denmark is a pretty good example of what he's talking about.
Yeah, but that's so different.
I don't think we're Denmark.
I tell you what, let's give Liz the last word. Liz, 15 seconds.
Look, I just think Bernie Sanders is not, I really think he's not a credible candidate. I think that he has pushed the Democrats as far to the left as Trump and some others are pushing the Republicans to the right. And when Democrats tell me that this is a big problem for the GOP, I think it's a bigger problem for Democrats.
We will have to leave it there. Liz Peek and Rick Ungar, you have our thanks. Coming up, some of the Dems call the NRA their enemy. Is that smart politics? We'll hear from Dr. John Lott.